Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this series, Understanding and Addressing Vaccine Hesitancy in the Muslim Community and Approaching it from an Islamic Perspective. In this episode, we will be discussing some of the other common claims that some have made about vaccines that we would like to discuss and hear more about. Some claim that the side effects of vaccines are harmful and are not worth the benefit of the vaccines. Some claim that there are people who have come down with illnesses, killed by COVID, even though they took the vaccine. Some have claimed that people took this vaccine and it just made them worse, but the vaccine seems not to work on 1% of the population. Others also claim that the pharmaceutical companies, the major institutions that are saying vaccines are safe, we should take vaccines, we can't trust these organizations and institutions. With me to discuss these topics today are two of our distinguished guests, both from science backgrounds, starting with Brother Adam Abdurrahman, who comes from a biological science background, and Sister Basira Raji, who has a master's in pharmacognosis and also a background in the relevant sciences. I'd like to welcome you to the program. I'd like to start with Malam Adam. For those who say vaccines have harmful side effects and for this reason we should hesitate in going forward with taking vaccines, whether it's MPV, whether just vaccines generally, what would you respond? What would you say?
Thank you very much for the question and for the opportunity to share the little I have with me. I think first of all is to admit that not only vaccine, but all medications has side effects. But then the objective of vaccine is not to cause side effects, but to provide protection for the body and to provide immunity for the body. And if you talk about the side effect, different people react to different medicines depending on the immune system of the person involved. So you can see a person who will take antibiotics and have probably side effects, react to it that way, but other person may take it without feeling anything. So it's not only vaccine. And CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, stated clearly that 1 in 100,000 experience what we may call serious side effects. So there is no need to panic. And other studies have shown that individuals only experience mild and moderate side effects. And for general vaccines, like vaccines for influenza, they can say 1 out of 1 million can experience severe side effects. And if you are to look at a metaphor, like an army with a drill instructor. So when they are having practice drill, the fact that the instructor is preparing them for greater enemy, for real fight, they will have a training. And out of that training, they may be tired, they may experience weaknesses of the body.
Somebody may be injured.
Yes, injured. But because of that small side effect of what they are doing does not mean that they should not be having the training to prepare them for greater enemy. So what we are saying basically, the fact that your body reacts to these vaccines to prepare you against that disease that will be coming does not justify we not taking the vaccines. Thank you, sir.
Jazakallahu khairan. This everything with an advantage has a disadvantage, but if the advantage is greater, we move with it. Sister Basira, what would you add?
Thank you. The legal maxim, al-khadru bi'akfi ad-dararain, which means taking the lesser of two evils. It's in a situation where we have a clash between two harmful situations, it's best to take the one with the lesser evil. So according to the assumptions that the people have due to the side effects, not taking the vaccine at all is not a way to go. Because as Malam Adam have said, there are several ways by which people react to these side effects. People react differently. Some might not even have any side effects at all. when you take the vaccine. So this is not a reason for not taking the vaccine. Because when you don't take the vaccine, you don't just put your own life in danger. You put the life of other people around you in danger.
More
The
important.
vulnerable ones, the weak ones, and the society at large. So I think it's just a reason, not a reason for you not to take the vaccine.
So it goes back to, yes, there are side effects, there's that risk. But as you've mentioned, with some of these vaccines, serious side effects are like 1 in 100,000 to 1 in a million. Whereas when you look at how many lives are saved, and I think it's important when we are calculating how many lives are saved, not just how many lives are saved this year from this illness, but if we all get vaccinated and are now immune for the remaining years of our lives and the lives of our children, if everybody has been vaccinated and our generation can no more pass the disease to the next generation, to calculate how many people have been saved, you have to calculate the number of people saved this year, plus next year, and carry on into till the day of judgment. If the vaccine, if the illness is not going to be stopped, which is why some look at vaccinations as actually the cheapest way and the most effective way, because you stop the intergeneration, not just how many would have died in our generation, but you stop the accumulation. So even if it's only affecting 0.001%, yes, but 0.001% of the population of a big number like 8 billion.
It's also a big number.
Is a big number. Multiply that by the number of years going into the future. It's really important. Al-Adam, I'd like to move on to another related question that some raise to do with effectiveness. That there are people who it seems the vaccine didn't help them. It's not 100% effective. So if it's not, why should we go through all this risk of side effects and all of that if we're not even sure how effective it is? And there are individuals that seem to have been actually immune to the vaccination, it's not helped them. What would you respond?
So first of all, I would like to ask the person, where is he getting the information from? Because this kind of sensitive information supposed to be coming from the experts. And from what we know from the experts is that these vaccines are effective. In fact, they have saved millions of lives, as you stated earlier on. But then let us discuss one critical issue here. Medicines are meant for two reasons. There are medicines that are meant to cure diseases, while there are others that are meant to prevent diseases. So in that class, you have vaccines. Is to prepare your body to be ready for a disease coming. And this, I think, is critical in the field of medicine, known as curative medicine. So the experts have said that vaccines are effective, even with other medicines. Take, for instance, anti-malaria. You cannot say all anti-malarias have the same effectiveness. No, a particular anti-malaria may be effective this time around. Over the years, you see it's becoming, the effectiveness will drop.
Well, and works for one person, but
not for another. And it has been shown that this vaccine reduces the risk of getting COVID-19 or other illnesses for about 80% and has about 80% efficacy. So that claim is not true when the experts that know what they are doing, know what they are talking about, are saying there is effectiveness to some level, inshallah.
So what you're saying is, even the experts are saying, and I think depending on the vaccine,
yes,
some vaccines are over 90% effective,
yes,
others 70%, others 60%, others 80%. But what the scholars of the field and the experts are saying when they say these vaccines have 80% efficacy or 90% or more, and what we found is with things like smallpox, it was 100%. Eventually,
yes,
a combination of the vaccine and herd immunity eradicated the thing completely. And so the issue of effectiveness, yes, as you said, with all medication, there's a percent of effectiveness. But what we are hoping is that the combination of the effectiveness plus the herd immunity eventually eliminates or at least reduces the problem. Sister Basira, what would you add?
I think according to the World Health Organization, those who have been fully vaccinated, they have a lower risk of the virus. Getting the virus compared to someone who didn't complete the vaccination or didn't even get the vaccine at all. Because vaccination, what it does is reduces the risk by which you can be a carrier to the society. And you believing that not getting the vaccine because it's not effective, it's not enough reason not to get the vaccine at all. It's not better for you to get all relevant vaccine than not getting at all and be a threat or a carrier to sending those particular diseases out to the society. And it is not even a reason enough because it reacts differently, just like Madam Adam has said. It might be effective for you, but that doesn't mean it's not effective for others. But when you do a collective responsibility, you take your own vaccine, the other person takes their own vaccine, it reduces the rate at which this particular disease or an infectious disease is present in society.
So I think a little like what you said before, just because malaria medicine is not as effective on everybody in every situation doesn't mean, okay, so forget about it. What we're looking at is it is better than not taking. And I think the important point you added was, yes, it may not be effective on somebody in preventing them from getting the illness, but it reduces the severity of the illness when you do get it. So just because somebody finally got it, so what's the use of the vaccine? Well, thank God you can say what's the use of the vaccine. If you didn't, it might have been even more severe. I'd like to move
to add to that.
Please.
You know, I have a friend who is allergic to dry foods. Like if you want him to take fried foods, like fried yam, fried potato, immediately he takes it, he becomes sick. He's allergic to it. It's like side effect to him as far as that food is concerned. But you can't say because of that others should not be taking.
Very important.
Yes.
Because in other words, just like this issue of how you respond, and probably at the same time, when somebody gets sick after taking a vaccine, how are you sure they weren't going to get sick anyway? But just because the last strange thing you did was getting a shot or getting immunity, you start accusing
the vaccine.
Instead of accusing you, well, I just finished drinking water, then I felt sick, but we know from experience, but water doesn't cause these things for most people. And I think, one of those things they teach in toxicology is that everything is toxic. It depends on the dosage. Everything is toxic. Drink too much water, you will, it causes hallucination and intoxication. It dilutes the salts in your body. Drink too much coffee, it'll spin your head. Drink or eat too much anything. And so to simply identify harm or to say it didn't benefit this, forgetting that the classification of something as medicine or as preventative is not claiming 100%. It's just saying the benefit is greater than the harm. Sister Basira, on the question of the trustworthiness of big pharmaceuticals, big pharmaceuticals have been known to just want to make money. They want to make money. Profit maximization seems to be their top on the list. So they don't have a good reputation for many. And for that reason, some would say we can't trust them when it comes to this issue of vaccines, or that this vaccination is produced by Moderna or by GlaxoSmithKline or by Pfizer, whatever. What do you say to this issue of trusting the authorities behind the vaccinations?
Thank you. Some claims are not just to be accepted as it comes, because we need to let people know why these claims are being accepted. You need to understand or tell those who bring this claim that where are we getting their information from? How do you know whatever it is they're saying is true? And how credible is the sources that they're getting this information from? Because as we all know, these pharmaceutical companies are the same pharmaceutical companies that produce our anti-malarial drugs, our antibiotics, our biological products that we use. And we don't go around looking for evidences to know if it is trusted or not. We take it and So why
the doctors
now?
have prescribed it,
and then
so you take.
you don't have any issue. So why now they're saying that the vaccines that is being to prevent and harmful of the diseases is what you think is cannot be trusted? Of course, there's no business entrepreneur or anyone that doesn't want to make profit, but that doesn't mean that they cannot be trusted, because we've trusted them in the past during the time of small polio virus, the vaccines then, because we don't have any reason now to doubt their products or the vaccines that come to them. And sometimes when you make claims, you have to be you don't want to be suspicious. You have to get your facts right. You have to be sure that whatever it is they are saying is the truth, because these pharmaceutical companies have gone a long way to ensure that the safety and to prevent a lot of spread of diseases.
Adam, what would you add to her points?
I think she has raised important questions, and this kind of, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it double standard. I don't want to call it one name that will maybe implicate me. But you accept some medicines produced by these companies, but you tend not to accept others. This the problem Allah had with some group of people that will say, yes, we accept this part of the book, we don't accept this part of the book, even though the book is coming from some source, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think basically we should be very, very careful on the way we verify things, the way we just rush into conclusions without verification. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran, I think we have been raising this verse, which is in ja'akum fasikum binaba'in fatabayyanu. You can see that the key thing is that tabayyanu, verify. When any form of information comes to you, try as much as possible to verify. Hadith of Abu Huraira in Sahih Muslim, and also hadith of Anas in Tirmizi. Abu Huraira said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Kafa bil mar'i kadiban an yuhaddisa bi kulli ma sami'a." Is enough for a person to be qualified as a liar for him to just spread whatsoever he hears, without confirmation, of course, without verification. And that hadith of Tirmizi, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "At-ta'anni min Allah." Deliberation and verification of issues before taking decision is from the guidance of Allah, hidayah of Allah. Wal ajalatu min ash-shaytan. Being hasty, like you take decision, you hear information, those guys, they can do that, that one is not from Allah. That one is from the influence of shaitan. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said, encouraging us to be very deliberate in verifying information that comes to us. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ praised Abdul Qais, a group of people who come to him, and he praised them because of their forbearance and what? Deliberation. They are able to confirm informations. And finally, I think we know that we are not all perfect, but we know we have competent people among us, we have qualified people among us, and we have experts among us. So even though we are not perfect, just admit that you know people that know more than you know, and they have more expertise more than you do. They have seen equipment and things that you have not seen. They have read things that you have not read. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I think, the point you mentioned, Sister Basira, earlier on, responding to people who profit maximization is what they have put in front of them. And of course, naturally, people want to cut corners. So it's natural that you would suspect people, if profit maximization is their objective, you are concerned with health, you don't want to just be spending money or time, or maybe they just want to make more money from governments, etc. So I think it's understandable that some would be suspicious if you just want to make money. Having said that, just because somebody wants to make money doesn't mean you don't trust them anymore. The people who, as you've mentioned, make all the other medications, the same companies make all the other medications. You don't say because somebody just wants to make money by selling food that I now start suspecting the food because he just wants to make money. This person is selling me petrol. He just wants to make money. Well, I don't trust his petrol anymore. This person says he can repair my car. He just wants to make money. So therefore, I don't trust him my car. Like, come on, you look at...
You need evidence to say.
There's evidence to say, in this situation, I smell a rat. In this situation, I sense fraud. I sense deception. I sense... but also this issue of, I don't believe. I think what is important to recognize is the same big pharmaceutical companies that produce the various medications are the ones, when it comes to things like vaccinations, this in Ja'akum Faskum bi Nabain, that the Quran encourages us that when somebody brings you some divisive information, something that can, spoil the name, spoil reputation, break relations, fatabayyan, go and verify. We actually have institutions such as the Centers of Disease Control, and not just one center, Nigerian center, the National Center for Disease Control and Prevention. We don't just have World Health Organization, which is made of experts of different parts of the world, different religious affiliations, verifying. We also have what becomes like mutawatir, multiple independent verification institutions in all countries in the world. Why would we allow ourselves to be last on the list? When you come to look at the eradication of things like polio, who's left behind? Nigeria was last on the list. The only left behind with Afghanistan and Pakistan still struggling. So this issue of recognizing that we have institutions who are good at this fatabayanu responsibility of verifying. They've got the experts, and some of the best scientists in the world are the ones that are working in these organizations, the best in the country, and the experts in that field working to ensure that the job is well done and that we are safe. And these are the same ones, including NAFDAC and these organizations that are making sure that our medication, our skin creams, what we give our babies, what we consume, that these are all healthy. And if it has passed the test of these people, and we trust them and we trust their competence, why would we be listening to somebody else, or just some social media post, or one alim somewhere that's not an expert in that field? I think, as you keep saying and we keep repeating, where do you get your information from? How do you know it's true? What is the authority and credibility of this source of information? And which other source of information on this issue are you listening to that is more credible than these ones? And al-yaqeen la yazulu bi-shak. Certainty, where we've got greater evidence, it doesn't override doubt, especially our own opinion when we are not experts in that field. I'd like to thank you both for your contributions. Inshallah, jazakumullahu khairan. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم